All yours, Adrian.
Thank you. I'm surprised there's not more people with chocolate around their mouths. Very, very clean way to talk. Good evening, everyone. Third up builders. Who would have believed, right? I got on stage 2 years ago in Zurich to talk about the past, mainly. I reflected about the history of how I became a developer, how I started doing all of this. You reacted wonderfully, all the people who read the article, and you sent me emails, and everything is really touching. I'm really humbled to know that I could touch so many people with this story. And last year, it was about the present, this eternal present in the life of a developer, which is change. These galaxies, you go from one to the other, and then you have Janis Joplin playing somewhere in another galaxy. Now, I wanted to reflect on the future. I wanted to reflect on all the things that are going on. I want to leave you with something to think at the end of this talk. I hope these words will also resonate with you, like my previous 2 talks. So this is why we're here for a quest for a better world. I woke up last Saturday to discover that there is new war going somewhere, tomahawks falling on top of people, and these people are being called collateral damage. Once again, we fall into the same traps. At the same time, the founder of one of the biggest social media sites, one that even had a movie made by Aaron Sorkin himself, and a blockbuster movie for that matter, it's in front of congressmen, it's explaining what's going on with his site. A lot of things are in our world very complicated. I read about the situation of women. It's appalling. It's terrible. Women being harassed, beaten, raped. The situation of minorities in many countries. There's no water in Flint, Michigan. So I thought about mentioning that as well, because it's ridiculously stupid when you think about it. The biggest country in the world, no drinking water, pure lead. They cannot drive, by the way. Those black people, they cannot drive safely in their own countries. How stupid is that? How ridiculous is that? Minorities, or well, I say minorities. We don't know if they are minorities. They're being harassed. People, just because they enjoy being with somebody not the standard expected by religions or whatsoever, they're being killed all over the planet. And I will mention the countries. You know exactly who I'm talking about. We see in Chechnya, in, I don't know, Russia, Belarus, Bolivia, Venezuela, some countries in Africa, presidents staying 30, 40 years, giving back, being elected, between quotes, becoming de facto dictators, support somehow, and spreading real hateful ideologies all over the place. And there's even concepts like the chief conscience officer. This is a thing. This is a thing. Companies are actually, we have to, to follow the times, to be in the trend, we have to actually have a conscience. So you have a chief conscience officer. How ridiculous. What kind of world are we living in? The politicians in the European Union, they want to give personas to robots. Let's think about the future. AI is coming. Let's keep. At the same time, the owners of big social media sites are actually not doing their job. They are helping spread hate. Mike Monteiro is asking for Jack Dorsey to quit. I actually think he's right. Jack Dorsey should have quit a long time ago. Aral Balkan spends his night and day helping people be aware of the fact that it is not us against us, it's actually corporations against us. There's a full rage war going on, the real war that is going on that you don't see because there's no blood, apparently. These corporations controlling the way we communicate, these corporations controlling the way we deal with each other, using that information even without our consent in many ways, arguing, but you clicked the I agree button, the I agree button. How many I agree buttons have you clicked in your life? I guess I must have clicked it probably 20,000, a million times? I don't know how many times. And in our industry, we keep teaching students how to reverse linked lists, which is a favorite subject of our industry, clearly, because I had the question in several interviews during my life. Instead of actually talking about the diversity problem, right? This is an industry, and I'm ashamed to say, but it's an industry of people, of young men, white young men, between 25 and 35 years old. And that, I have to say, is also the average in this room. I'm not saying it's bad. I just say it's a fact. Might raise some questions, might raise some awareness. We are building a future of Uber drivers driving into each other and podcast hosts hosting each other. Sorry, John, but I wasn't thinking of you when I put this slide. But it's also a world of selfies. We take selfies with everybody. Everybody's a celebrity. Somebody wanted to have selfies with me at some point. I went in India and people wanted to have selfies with me. I'm nobody. I'm strictly nobody. But there we go. Celebrities. And then when something works in this world of ours, we're distrustful. It's not possible. How come? It happens to us every so often. You turn on your computer, you compile your code, no warnings, you deploy, you're like, wow. And you know that you hold whatever sign your religion cheers most, and you keep it in your hand because you know that it's not going to last. We used to be able to trust MacBooks, by the way, a while ago. And the whole industry is built in such a way where, as my friend Graham here says, that when you look at it, it actually looks better when you look it backwards, you know? Like, we go from JavaScript to Ada Lovelace. Says a lot. This is the future we built. This is the future that we wanted. This is my thesis. It's something that you are free to disagree with. But I think it is not a coincidence that we're living this world. I think, unfortunately, we wanted this. This is from the 1920s. What would happen if you had a phone in your pocket? I have to say it's wildly interesting, to say the least, how it would happen. Then I started reflecting on the fact that I have become kind of a tech vegan. Okay? I'm very happy to say that I'm a tech vegan. 5 years ago, my friend Maximiliano Ferdman, is very well known in the mobile web industry, he told me, you're a tech vegan. I said, I mean, you don't use Google, you don't use Facebook, and that's true. I started not using Google. I don't Google anymore since 2012. I'm Google free. I can say, again, my name is Adrian. I'm Google free since 2012. I DuckDuckGo, which it's getting better by the day. It's amazingly good. And it doesn't track you. There's no bubble. I can choose if I want results filtered by some country, language, whatever I want. I am in control. Well, that's what I think, at least. I don't do Facebook, neither Instagram, apart from one hiccup 2 years ago, where I posted one Instagram picture and everybody went crazy. You're back! No, I'm not. And I came to value a lot the command line. I spend a lot of time in the command line. And yes, I was asking for a storage feature to Pete a couple of hours ago at breakfast today. So I think it's a very interesting story. Now, I don't do Uber. No. I decided from the very beginning, I never took an Uber, ever. I never rented an apartment through Airbnb, ever. I took the decision not to do that. I think they're actively harmful. I'm not judging those who do, please. This is very important. I'm not judging anyone. This is a personal choice, okay? And I use the command line. And the reason why I choose the command line is somehow can be explained in a very simple concept, which is the lack of hypocrisy. Command line tools, they're not hypocrite. They have absolutely no marketing. There's absolutely no promises attached to them. You just launch them, they crash as often as their GUI counterparts. They do one or two things at most, and they go away. End of the story. Very nice. This stability, it's kind of comforting to me. I feel good in that situation. And you know what? We are all unspoken influencers. We are aware of the fact that our families come to us for guidance. They ask us, you are into computers, right? What should I buy? Oh, then at some point I said you should get Windows 95. Yes, I have recommended people to use Windows 95 back in the day. Then I recommended people to get a MacBook in 2002, 2003, and well, we all know that the thinking different mantra now it's gone because everybody's thinking Apple and MacBooks. And the choices that I made have impacted the community surrounding me. That was an interesting observation that I did at some point. And you know what? We are all, because we all fall into the same categories, we all have an old uncle that during Christmas will ask us to update their iOS or Android. We all have that. It's part of being a professional in this world. And actually, what I'm looking for is to avoid those broken promises, even in the world of Apple. Even in the world of Apple. So I have to say that I somehow, I admit with what Logan is saying here. So Logan, if you are watching us, thank you. A couple of months ago, I started doing these coaching sessions. The people of the conference have been very kind to retweet the fact that, yes, I get every so often requests over people from complete strangers, so it's really humbling. People that don't know me, that I don't know, they ask me, I need help. And I'm like, okay, we schedule an hour and a half on Skype, or here we were talking for half an hour, walking around, watching the scenery, and they would tell me, yeah, you know, I don't feel well. In my company, they treat me like shit, literally. I am no one. So I try to provide some answers. I don't know if these answers are valid in their context. I hope. I sincerely hope that it works for them. In any case, what I have to say is that talking with them helps me. So I'm here the one who says thank you to all of you who have come to me to ask me for help. I say thank you. Because I also have my issues. I also like sometimes being able to talk and being able, and thankfully I have my own mentors whom I talk to, very wise people, and I'm very glad about that. But the sad part of doing this coaching is that I'm seeing midlife at 30. That's what I'm seeing. And it's kind of sad, listening to people telling you, oh, my boss doesn't want to hear, doesn't even pay attention to what I say. In my company, they want to do testing. I want to start my own company. My girlfriend doesn't like me. I want to go to Polynesia to sell hot dogs, which I said is a very good idea. You should hurry up because of, global warming. There might not be any Polynesia anytime soon. So it's very unfortunate, right? But I am sad to say that even in Switzerland, that has very high levels of happiness, tied apparently to the consumption of chocolate, so rightfully so, given the fact that you went have your mouthful of it. Here in Switzerland as well, I've had, sadly, friends who decided to go away. Let's put it in a very polite way. They had enough of working, dealing with their companies, situations. It's complicated. Living is complicated. It's really, really complicated thing. We programmers, we actually think of our programs like our babies. It's as simple as that. We have this emotional connection. It's normal. We spend hours working with that code. We try to refine it. We write tests around them. We want those apps to crash. We are super happy when we receive that email that says that our app has been approved on the stores. We tell our friends, and it's an emotion. And when you receive a bug, you receive this sting in your heart because it's a bug, and then you stay up to 3 a.m. to fix it. This emotional connection is not anodyne. All artists have had this emotional connection to their works of art. It's a normal thing. That's part of what makes us human beings. That's something that AI will never have, no matter how much scientists try to replicate us. And then I tell these people who contact me for help, I tell them, listen, this emotional connection is okay. You're never going to get away with it because you like what you do. If you are asking me for help, it means It means that you give a shit. And if you give a shit, you should probably start asking yourself the question that maybe the problem is not so much you, but the organizations surrounding you, the social structures surrounding you. And that's an entirely different discussion. Those organizations, many of those organizations grew and amassed an incredible amount of power around one simple, single concept: the end user license agreement. This thing that we click without thinking, this I agree button that we click. Why do we click it? Why do we click it so much? There's one word that defines it: fear of missing out. We've been clicking the I agree button since the 70s, when Bill Gates started bundling those in DOS programs, bundled at the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s. Because of the fear of missing out. We didn't want to miss out. This was the new world. This was, bicycles for the mind, like Steve Jobs used to say. We wanted to be a part of it, and rightfully so. Because it's amazing. It is amazing. We have on our pockets computers more powerful than those of William Shatner in the 60s show Star Trek. Do you realize when you look the show, you say, oh, how Capri, why don't you get an Android at least? No, seriously, Scotty pinged me up. So it's like, and we have our Scotty, so we don't need anyone to beam us up. We beam him down. Now, the problem of the EULA is that those EULAs allow these organizations to amass power, data, knowledge about us, to drive our intentions without any accountability whatsoever. You have absolutely no leverage against them. But it turns out that, in spite of what the EULA says of Windows, Windows is actually used in nuclear plants. Okay? So, what are we doing here anyway? Everything that this industry does is modifying the perception of social structures. Social structures, I'm talking democracy, company, the notion of work, the notion of relationship with one another, finding a soulmate, dating, finding a job. Everything in the past 10 years has been merged into this big machine of knowledge, of bits, of ones and zeros that defines you. Before, it was just if you had the right or not to open Adobe Illustrator. In the 80s, that's what the ULA would block you. If you did click I deny, well, you wouldn't be able to draw. These days, you wouldn't be able to communicate. And this communication has an impact on culture. Our work has an impact on culture. What we define culture, what we define as knowledge, spreads on those who don't do computers, and it becomes part of the language, of the everyday language of things. We reached a point where we have to actually start asking ourselves really tough questions about what we do for a job. And I say we, I say you, the people here, me. We build applications for corporations. Some people build apps for big systems, for small systems. You do it for yourself or not. You collect data or not. And this is a slide that I hate deeply. It's probably the slide that I hate the most in the 3 years that I've been talking at Apple. I hate this thing because an intersection means a point, and Apple somehow places themselves in that point. This is not right. I argue that technology is liberal arts, and it's not a point. It's a sphere called planet Earth. It has the size of a species. With technology, we are defining the world that is surrounding us in the deepest details. The deepest details. In ways that we actually aren't even able to recognize at first. Somehow, technology, I think, shapes us as developers as well. So it is important to actually start asking ourselves many questions about what do we do. I do not do Bitcoins, stocks, any of that, seriously. I don't have any intention of becoming insanely rich. There's a lot of people who really have their minds, oh, wouldn't you like to live in the Bahamas and have a Lamborghini and, you know, eat with Kanye West? Seriously, no. I had that, the Kanye West thing, I had it. No, I think, maybe I'm skewed because I live in Switzerland. In Switzerland, you can have a relatively good quality of life in general, so I can understand that depending where you come from. I was born in Argentina. I suppose that if I didn't have the Swiss experience, I would think like that. And you would think that Bitcoin and whatever the flavor of the jour for money would help you fulfill that. The problem is that this assumption leads us down a very dangerous path. You end up working 60 hours per day, particularly young people. Particularly here in Switzerland, where it's illegal, I've seen contracts stipulating clearly that you should probably be, you can be asked to work for 60 hours. I've seen that. It's ridiculous. It's even illegal. I pointed out, they were like, well, no, thank you so much, and I showed myself the door. Imagine in a country that has laws that protect you against that, what it could be in another place where you don't have those laws. And then you end up, what, at 28 years old, having more white hair than me, and completely burned out? I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. There's this quest for money. We are looking for money when actually what we actually should be looking for, and this is a personal opinion, you're free to disagree with me, of course, we should be looking for everyone to live a good life. You know, be able to get to the end of the month with something to eat, be able to send your kids to school, to feed them, to dress them, to have a decent healthcare, being able, if you feel bad, to go to the doctor and not become bankrupt because of that. This is a discussion that is not only valid in the USA, it's actually becoming very valid in Switzerland as well, where the healthcare costs are going up. And we, as software developers, we have a strong impact on top of that. And of course, the relationship of an employee with its company is a very one-sided kind of relationship. And that's very sad. In French, they call, employees are called collaborateurs, collaborators, which sounds in English very bad. It looks like more like a World War II kind of word. But it's so hypocritical. You're not I'm not collaborating here. You pay me a salary, I come and I do my job, and basically you fire me for any whimsical reason you might have. You will fire me anyway, so what are you talking about, collaborateur? What I came to the conclusion is that every penny that we have, I have to correct the slides, we have, it's a penny that somebody else doesn't have. And I think we actually have to start paying attention to each other. We actually have to start actively paying attention to the well-being of your colleagues to begin with. Your colleagues. How are you feeling? Been doing extra hours. They don't pay me for extra hours. Okay, well, get out. Even if you're not the manager. Or go tell somebody, a family member maybe. Somebody saying, yeah, you know what? He's pale every day. He doesn't look good. Yeah, he's working overtime. Well, step down. Go home. Enjoy your life. Do something else. Music, painting, whatever. Because clearly corporations are not going to do that for us. They're not going to do that. In spite of the fact of having a chief conscience officer, they will not do that. Which takes me to an anecdote. I have a friend of mine, a very wise man, one of these wise persons that I have in my life, one of my mentors, and it's almost a brother to me, and he's a developer. He's a PHP developer in Argentina. He does PHP, WordPress, PHP Storm, all of that. And he had a customer coming to him saying, you know what, we want to build this system. Oh, okay, well, he was on the phone. Well, it's a system that actually is for management of this and that, and actually the whole idea is to get rid of software developers. This agency wanted to have a system that basically allowed them to create automatic websites or something like that. And my friend refused. And he told me the anecdote. I said, no, I refused. Even though I need the job, but I refused. And he gave a very simple reason, saying, why would I collaborate in a project that actually helps you get rid of people like me, or me, for that matter? It's a very simple point. I admired, because he actually needs the job, I think. But in any case, I admired the position of saying, I do not agree with that, I walk out. An interesting lesson. How many times have we done that? How many times have we actually received a project that maybe we even need and have the integrity to actually walk out? I actually think there is a lesson in there somewhere, maybe, about choices, about how our choices are shaping what we do, are shaping the relationship we have with work. We don't think very often about the relationship with work. And I think that it is important for those who do the work to have the power to decide over that work. For some reason, the capitalist system is very happy, very eager to remove that power out of you. So there's HR, there's structures, things. But actually, we are the one doing the job. And particularly in a job market like the developer job market, where basically it's very hard to find people like us. It's very hard. I receive 3 or 4 emails every week for all jobs here and there, whatever. And we have a lot of leverage. If we find things that are wrong, if we are in an abusive relationship with an employer that is actually harming people around you, why do we stay? I'm asking. If you stay, do it with conscience. I totally understand the reasons. You might have mortgage, kids. Totally understand that you stay. The only thing I'm asking is that if we stay in those abusive relationships, and I hope you don't, that you will do it with conscience, saying, okay, I'm here just for the money, I'm looking for another job as soon as something comes out, but I really need the job, I really need the money. Very good. Very good. We are not software developers. This is the core of my talk. There's a slide that you should pay attention to, is the next one. We're not software developers. We are not app developers. We are society developers. As workers, we are the strongest force of society shaping ever seen in the modern world. We have the power to change wrongs into rights. Any one of you, all of you here, me, we have the possibility to choose a better world. The same way I said at the beginning of the talk that we choose this world with all of its problems, we can choose a different one. This is the nice thing about it. We can actually choose a different world. Hence, this possibility of actually using technology, which is what we know how to use. And then I was talking with another wise man, friend of mine. He told me a very simple, after a very long conversation, he told me something. I said, I want to put this on a slide. Can I? Of course. The problems of technology are the problems of society. And it all begins with this search for money. We're lost in this. We lost sight. We lose sight of everything. Everything becomes absolutely craziness. Okay? It becomes this idea of you have a joker in front of you saying, when everything goes according to plan, nobody panics because it's according to the plan. But we are in this thing we don't even see. There was a point in time where things actually were changing very strongly, and somehow we're going back in time. You know this song, Winds of Change. What does it talk about? Somebody my age who remembers this song, Winds of Change? What is it? It was the fall down of the wall of Berlin. Beautiful song. It talked about a beautiful moment in history. We were tearing down walls. We were making a better world. That's what we thought back in '89. At least I was 17 years old. And the world has become this incredibly fast read, eval, print loop. We are inside of this thing, and it's becoming faster as we talk. We are the first generation of mankind who is able to see their kids have a different social mentality, a different view of the world than their parents. Like, not a little bit, completely. we can see the effects of the works we do, of the apps we do, of the websites that we put out. We can see that in a couple of months, in a couple of minutes. You can have that. And we forget that in the other side, on the other side of those IDEs that we use, of those programming languages, there's people, there's places, there's life. We write software for those people. We write software for them. We are shaping them. But they are all the same. We are all the same. There's no them. There's no more them. There's only one planet, and we are putting a patch of plastic big like a country in the middle of the ocean. What do we do about that? Are we okay with that? I'm not okay with that. Seriously, I would love to have Polynesia in a couple of years. We are building a world. And this world is shaping people, the thoughts of people. People are suffering. People who suffer, who think, who create, who love, who have kids, who move around, want to travel. They cannot. They don't have a visa. The worlds are closing down. You cannot immigrate anymore. There's no more America. Have you noticed there's no more America in the sense of what they used to say at the end of the 19th century? I'm going to America. America was a dream. America was a different place, a new start, a new way to think. There's no more. Where do you want to go? Mars? Well, if you are Elon Musk, maybe you can afford the trip. In the meantime, what do the other 7.5 billion people do? What do we do? Do we keep writing apps that will shape the behavior of all of these people? And this world is going faster and faster and faster and faster. Everything that we change, everything that we do is going every second, modifying the behavior to the most stupid things, like this girl saying the serenata in F sharp, or the concerto in F hashtag, right? What are we doing with this society? What are we doing to make all of this good? Are we choosing the right abstractions? And I'm not talking about code, and I'm talking about design patterns here. I'm talking about the things and the behaviors and the implicit assumptions that we make in our everyday work. All of our work is tainted by our beliefs. It's normal. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that is wrong. We're humans. The same way we get attached to our software. We get attached to those emotions. So we're going to be translating them. That's why we need diversity. That's why you need people of color, other races. We need to mix up. We need to open those walls. Because if we keep building walls around countries, we are going to get every time worse. And this is getting faster and faster and faster. So that means that really, it's the moment to start taking the decisions and to change for once. This is a moment of reflection. That's what I would like to leave you tonight, in the sense that, in the same vein that I think we wanted to have this world, we can want to have a new one. And the only thing it takes is for all of us to reflect, to ask ourselves the question, do I take this job? Well, you look pale. Why don't you go home? Do you need something? I love you. How often do you say that? Why don't we go back to the roots of what actually makes us human? Our code will be better. Our society will be better. I wanted to dedicate this talk to the memory of my friend Bertrand. Thank you so much.